Hi everyone, welcome back to our Sacred Spaces series. I am Mary, your host. Today's sacred space is the largest Catholic church in North America and one of the 10 largest churches in the entire world. It's also known as America's Marian Church because of its many shrines and chapels dedicated to the Blessed Virgin Mary. I'm, of course, talking about the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. Here in Washington, D.C., the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception is a Catholic minor basilica and national shrine in Washington, D.C. It is the largest Catholic church building in North America and is also the tallest habitable building in Washington. D.C., its construction of Byzantine and Romanesque Revival architecture began on the 23rd of September 1920. The basilica is dedicated to the Blessed Virgin Mary as the Immaculate Conception. Designated as the principal patroness accorded by Pope Pius IX on February 7, 1847, Pope Pius XI donated a mosaic rendition of the image in 1923. It serves as the patronal church of the Catholic Church in the United States. Pope John Paul II raised the national shrine to the status of minor basilica via his pontifical decree Clarum Constat Templum on October 12, 1990. At the shrine, Pope Benedict XVI bestowed a golden rose on April 26, 2008, and Pope Francis canonized Junipero Serra on September 23, 2015. Although the basilica is situated within the geographical boundaries of the Archdiocese of Washington, the basilica is not a parish of the Archdiocese, does not have its own parish community, and the shrine's administration does not fall under the direct authority of the local archbishop, but it serves adjacent Catholic University, which donated the land for its construction, and the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. It also hosts numerous masses for various organizations of the Church from across the United States. The basilica is not the cathedral of the Archdiocese, as that title and honor belongs to the Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle, although numerous archdiocesan events are held at the basilica. As of 2025, the rector of the basilica is the Reverend Monsignor Walter R. Rossi, holds a licentiate of canon law. The basilica is served by the Brooklyn CUA station on the Red Line, roughly 550 yards 500 meters away. The basilica houses 82 Marian chapels, including the Our Mother of Africa chapel, as well as other sacred images flanking the sides of the great upper church and the crypt church. They were designed to reflect the origins of Catholic Americans and the religious orders whose generosity erected them. Its Greek-styled interior is crowned with numerous domes decorated in mosaics, similar to the Basilica of St. Mark in Venice, Italy, but much larger. The mosaics feature American renditions of traditional Catholic images. Jan Henrik de Rosen, who presided over the shrine's iconography committee, was also responsible for much of its decor, including composing the large mosaic over the northern apse. The Trinity Dome of the basilica is covered in 47,000 gloss Ludovici shingle tiles arranged to form biblical patterns. The blue tiles represent the Virgin Mary. The yellow is a reference to common architecture found on Hebrew churches. Red is symbolic of Christ's blood, and the gray tiles are a neutral color to emphasize the patterns. Ludovici also produced the roof tiles for the tower and lower roof. The shrine was built in the style of medieval churches, relying on thick masonry walls and columns in place of structural steel and reinforced concrete. It was designed to hold 10,000 worshipers and includes modern amenities such as a basement cafeteria, hidden public address speakers to carry speech at the altar to the rear of the building, air conditioning, and what was the largest radiant heating slab in the world in 1959. There are arches outlined with iridescent Puwabic pottery tile, large ceramic medallions set in the ceiling, and 14 stations of the cross in the crypt church. In 1792, John Carroll, the Bishop of Baltimore and the United States' first Catholic bishop, consecrated the newly created United States under the protection of the Blessed Virgin Mary under the title of the Immaculate Conception. In 1846, the 6th Provincial Councils of Baltimore reiterated this episcopal choice to name the title Virgin Mary, conceived without sin as the principal patroness of the land. Pope Pius IX formalized the decision on February 7, 1847, and it was published on July 2, 1847. Bishop Thomas Joseph Shahan, the fourth rector of the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C., proposed the construction of a national shrine to commemorate the Immaculate Conception in the country's capital. Bishop Shahan took his appeal to Pope Pius X. On August 15, 1913, in January 1914, Shahan published the first issue of Salve Regina, a newsletter meant to stir enthusiasm for his project. He wrote that the shrine would be a monument of love and gratitude. A great hymn in stone, as perfect as the art of man can make it, and as holy as the intentions of its builders could wish it to be. His newsletter was circulated to dioceses throughout the country, and financial donations began to pour into Washington. In 1915, Shahan appointed Father Bernard McKenna of Philadelphia as first director of the National Shrine. Shahan oversaw the construction of the shrine until his death on March 9, 1932. His are the only remains interred at the Basilica. By 1919, Shahan and McKenna chose architectural drawings by the Boston firm of Marian and Walsh for construction of the National Shrine. Initially, they considered a traditional neo-Gothic architectural style, but Shahan opted instead for a Byzantine Revival Romanesque Revival design. On May 16, 1920, Archbishop Giovanni Bonzano, Apostolic Nuncio to the United States of America, celebrated Mass and blessed the site of the future National Shrine. On September 23, 1920, Cardinal James Gibbons, Archbishop of Baltimore, blessed the foundation stone. More than 10,000 people attended the Mass, including ambassadors, government officials, and military officers. On April 20, 1924, the first public Mass ever offered at the shrine was held in the unfinished crypt church. In 1932, the death of Bishop Shahan and the Great Depression halted the construction above the completed crypt church level. The beginning of American involvement in World War II stalled plans even further, and construction was not resumed until 1954. After the war in 1953, American bishops under the leadership of John Knoll, Archbishop ad personam of Fort Wayne, and Patrick O'Boyle, Archbishop of Washington, pledged to raise the funds necessary to complete the great upper church of the National Shrine. On November 15, 1954, work was resumed on building the shrine. And on November 20, 1959, thousands of Catholics gathered with the bishops for the dedication of the great upper church. Since 1968, the papal tiara of Pope Paul VI has been on display inside the crypt church. On October 12, 1990, Pope John Paul II raised the National Shrine to the status of a minor basilica. The papal bull was signed and notarized by Cardinal Agostino Casaroli. It is the 36th designated basilica within the United States. In August 2006, work was completed on a mosaic covering the Redemption Dome in the Great Upper Church. Following its completion in the summer of 2007, the Incarnation Dome was blessed on November 17, 2007. A small chapel on the crypt church level honoring Our Lady of Lavang, Vietnam, was completed in 2006. In 2008, during his trip to the United States, Pope Benedict XVI bestowed the Golden Rose upon the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. In June 2011, a new chapel dedicated to Our Lady of Lebanon was erected within the basilica, commemorating the fidelity of the Maronite Church and its faithful. A mosaic of Saint Maroon and the Crucifixion was copied from the 6th century Rabula Gospels manuscript and was donated by Cardinal Donald Worrell. The chapel was formally consecrated by Maronite Bishop Gregory J. Manser on September 23, 2011. On January 26, 2013, the Basilica held a televised Thanksgiving Mass and enshrined first-class relics of Americans Kateri Tekakwitha and Marian Cope, who were both canonized October 20, 2012. Pope Francis visited the shrine on September 23, 2015, and celebrated a Mass for the canonization of Saint Junipero Serra, OFM, on the Mall of the Catholic University of America. The altar, ambo, and chair used for this Mass match the existing marble in the basilica. After the Mass, the papal altar was placed in front of the high altar and is now used as the altar in the Great Upper Church. On February 20, 2016, the Basilica was the site of the funeral Mass of U.S. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, at which his son, Father Paul Scalia, was the celebrant. The final architectural element was completed with the installation of the 24 tons of Venetian glass in the central Trinity Dome, one of the largest mosaics of its kind in the world. On December 8, 2017, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, the dome was dedicated and solemnly blessed by Cardinal Donald Wuerl. Every year, the Basilica is the site of major liturgical celebrations, including the annual Mass for the March for Life, which takes place each January. Thousands of the faithful from all over the country come to Washington, D.C. for the March for Life, and the Mass is one of the largest of the year, usually drawing over 10,000 people. The Basilica is also home to the relics of several saints, including Saint Elizabeth Ann Seton, first saint canonized in the United States, and Saint Damien of Molokai, who ministered to the lepers in Hawaii. The Basilica is open to the public every day from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and encourage you to visit if you ever have the chance. You can also visit their website to learn more about the history and the architecture of the Basilica, as well as to learn about the different ways that you can support this great shrine. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Sacred Spaces. Till next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He look upon you kindly and give you peace. Amen.